Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. The fellas are heading down to the Big 12 as West Virginia goes on the road to play the Texas Tech Red Raiders. These are two teams that I liked in summer scouting and two teams that are probably better than their 3-3 record and have a lot of similarities. You look at what West Virginia's done. Probably should have beaten Kansas, probably should have beaten Pitt, and then really the only game that they just kind of got outplayed against was Texas. And you look at Texas Tech, very good chance at beating Oklahoma State, outgained them by almost 100 yards, outgained Kansas State by almost 100 yards, and lost both games. And really the only game that they got outplayed was on the road against NC State. Two teams that are sitting at 3-3, play a very similar brand of football. They like to score a lot of points. The defenses aren't great. And this should be a very, very fun game. Before we get into it, though, again, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. Again, over 2,000 subscribers. That's absolutely insane. The support you guys have shown really does mean a lot. We love making these videos. We love talking ball with you guys in the comment section. So if you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get into talking some ball. I want to start with this Texas Tech Red Raiders team. They're coming off a bye, and what I've been reading is that they want to play all three quarterbacks, which I'm traditionally not that much of a fan of, especially when you're talking about Texas Tech Red Raiders offense that under Coach Kitley on that offense side of the ball, they like to play fast, and they like to kind of get into a rhythm. When you have three different quarterbacks touching the ball, I think that can kind of disrupt a little bit of that rhythm. Again, the cadence with the offensive line, the chemistry with the wide receivers. I'm interested to see what that looks like. I don't really have an edge on which quarterback is necessarily the best. You take a look at their numbers. We've seen the most out of Donovan Smith. He's looked solid, but the turnovers have been a problem. I mean, he's completing over 66% of his balls, with 7 turnovers to 11 touchdowns is not a great ratio. Morton's 3 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. He also hasn't taken care of the ball that well. And then we really haven't seen much of Tyler Shock, who was named the starter to start the season and then went down with a shoulder injury. Reportedly might be healthy to play in this game. That's one thing to kind of keep an eye on. Texas Tech coming in as 5-point favorites. And then you look over at that West Virginia team. They lost me some money on Thursday night. I was on Baylor to cover 3.5 points on the road. Don't bet on Baylor going to Morgantown. Stupid bet on my part. And West Virginia, I thought looked really good. And JT Daniels, for the most part, made some very impressive throws. Obviously, that one interception he threw at the end of the game, he just kind of like lost his composure a little bit, lost his mind a little bit, you might say. But other than that, I thought he was very accurate. He's kind of brought a little juice to this offense. But what I've been most impressed with this West Virginia team is the wide receivers who have stepped up. That was kind of a question mark coming in. I mean, Winston Wright transferring out. I asked the West Virginia fans during our summer preview of West Virginia. Shout out you guys, by the way. You guys all watched that and commented. That appreciate the support there. And everyone in the comment section was like, Caden Prather's going to break out. Caden Prather's going to break out. It took him a little bit. Yeah, he broke out during that Baylor game, going for well over 100 yards. And when it seemed like West Virginia needed a play, they were going to Caden Prather. I mean, Bryce Ford Wheaton is still that dude, and we don't want to ignore what he's done this season. I mean, what he's done with the ball in the air and how good he is with those combat catches, very impressive. But having another guy that you can go to, say they want to kind of put a safety over Bryce Ford Wheaton, which I would not blame defenses to do, having a guy, Caden Prather, who is very good with the ball in his hand, he's very good creating separation, is a massive development for this West Virginia offense. And he really stepped up in a big way against Baylor. And another thing you want to note is West Virginia finally created some turnovers. This is a defense that I really like their front seven. Guys like Lee Kogba, Dante Stills, Taj Alston, like they can kind of get after and create some havoc. They haven't really created that many turnovers. And that was one of the big knocks that we kind of had on West Virginia when we previewed that Baylor game. They turned the ball over that game, and that led to some massive swings. I mean, when you have a scoop and score, that type of play on the defensive side of the ball changes the dynamic of the game. It did so on Thursday night. If West Virginia can keep that up, and I think they have the personnel to do that. I'd like to see them bring a little bit more exotic pressures. They have a lot of guys who are kind of versatile. Jasir Cox, Lance Dixon. Let those guys go be playmakers. And then obviously you have guys like Taj Alston and Dante Stills. This Texas Tech team, you look at what they've done, one thing they've really struggled with, they don't have a problem moving the football. I mean, this offense with Zach Kitley moves the ball extremely well. You have guys like Miles Price on the outside that can make plays. You have 2 running backs in Taj Brooks and Sarajic Thompson who are very, very capable of not only catching out of the backfield, but running between the tackles. But one thing Texas Tech has brutally struggled with, and they're probably sitting at maybe 5-1 if they avoided some of these turnovers, is turnovers, averaging over 2.2 turnovers per game. It's really hard when you have a 2-to-1 turnover ratio, down 2-to-1. Like, they're only forcing one turnover on defense. Sitting at 3-3 when you have a 1-to-2 turnover ratio is pretty damn impressive, and it speaks to how efficient this Texas Tech offense is. And so when we're taking a look at this game, West Virginia coming in as 5-point underdogs, the number doesn't necessarily excite me because I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I think a 10-point win might seem like a blowout. It'd be a blowout in the Big Ten West. But in this game, a 10-point win is a very close game. If I had to throw money on this game, and this is a game that I'm not necessarily betting because it's two teams that have power ranked very similarly. They play a very similar brand of football. They move the ball on offense. They don't play great defense. I'm probably tossing a little on West Virginia to win this game outright, just because this game is a coin flip to me. And I think there's just a little bit more value on West Virginia kind of moving on after a very, very good win at Baylor and kind of keeping that momentum. And again, Texas Tech coming off a bye. I like some of the players they have on defense. Like Tyree Wilson is a day 2 draft pick on my board. I really like some of those playmakers. I just think this game is going to be so close. It almost seems like whoever has the ball with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter last is going to win this football game. And when you're talking about margins that slim and in a point spread that you're getting plus 200 odds against West Virginia, I'm probably taking West Virginia. Now, that being said, probably not going to officially make this a play, but if I had a lean, it'd be West Virginia on the money line. I think the over is also a good look. Both these teams just move the ball up and down on opposing defenses, and both these defenses, quite frankly, are not that great. I expect a lot of offense, a lot of points. I think the story of this game will be turnovers and red zone efficiency. When you're inside the 20, and that's part of why you saw Texas Tech lose some of those games, is they struggled to score touchdowns, specifically against Oklahoma State. When you're inside the 20, field goals aren't going to win you this game. You have to score touchdowns. Whoever has better red zone efficiency, whoever does not turn the ball over, I think wins this game. And again, this is going to be a very, very exciting game. And it's going to be a monitor game, 3 o'clock kickoff. Cannot wait to watch this game in Lubbock. Jerry Maguire, side note, the biggest high school football. He comes from the high school ranks, and Texas Tech really brought him in to kind of be a recruiter and all the relationships he has with Texas high school football. And that'll work, and I love that. But the energy he brings is just straight high school football, and I love it. Like when they make a chip shot field goal, he's going nuts on the sideline. I like that guy a lot. Again, I'm not necessarily fading Texas Tech, but if I had to lean here, it'd be West Virginia money line. But I'm watching this game as a fan. Again, I appreciate the support you guys have shown the channel. If you do like the content, consider subscribing. We appreciate y'all for real. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.